Hey there, it's Lovelxce, and it's time for another video. Welcome to Lovelxce Astrology. Our thoughts drift to Chrisean and Blueface yet again, in another installment of their astrology saga, the biggest one yet, and I'm not sure why. Blueface recently broke up with Chrisean from jail and was no longer talking to her, out of jealousy, out of spite. We'll see more of why the breakup happened later, so I explain a lot of my techniques. The reading I'll get to in a bit is based on a chart made when thinking about their situation, and these charts tend to have very insightful and accurate messages. Let's get into it. In my previous reading on them for early 2024, I did not see that their communication would evolve more than what it was, a jail-love relationship for a while. The planets that represented them in my chart had weak connection, and the stars whispered messages of disappointment and divorce. Of course, not a literal divorce by 2020's standards, but by heavenly standards, a strong relationship was broken yet again. Carlissa, Blueface's mom, seemed to confirm the breakup on social media, laughing and mocking her, of course, for being dumped by Blueface because she was partying and missed the curfew he made for her, and in a mean girl way, joked about tips to help Chrisean hide her, quote, pimpin'. Blueface unfollowed her on social media at this point again, and here's a clip of a phone call of him venting his frustrations to Chrisean.
Hey, yeah, alright, it's Blueface, baby. I know I stay on the bitch neck like shoulders now. She knew what time it was before she came to work. Dead homies. But, ain't no buts. It's my way or the highway, bitch. I let a bitch leave before I ever give leeway, and I give a bitch the boot on her B-day. It's that serious, and that's why. Look, check it out. If this bitch she's going up for adoption. Dead homies. You want to be with me? Bitch better be on my tape. On this head. Ain't nothing open past O but a hoe. And I ain't harboring no hoes. You hear me, Bo?
So what does my new chart say about the energies for them moving forward? Capricorn is rising in this chart, making Chrisean Saturn. Capricorn energy speaks of the restriction she's feeling with Blueface, the coldness of the relationship, and heavy responsibilities of life on her shoulders. All hip-hop reports. The reality TV star and rapper took to Instagram Live to recap her jail call with the house arrest rapper. She claimed Blueface was being evil and berated her for not coming home after a night out. "This boy is so sensitive," she began, recalling that she returned to her own home where a friend was babysitting her son rather than going back to Blueface's house. Chrisean Rock said that she's on lockdown and doesn't go out while Blueface is in the slammer. "It's annoying sometimes, so when I do go out, I do be wanting to just cut loose and be myself," she explained. And about her responsibilities, they go on to say she says, "I'm holding you down, bro. I'm paying your bills," she added. "I'm not benefiting from this SHI. Chrisean went on to claim that she's paying thousands of dollars of bills on his behalf, including his legal fees and $15,000 every 2 months to pay rent on his restaurant amid renovations. A quick note about Chrisean's energy, an astrological point, a lot of fortune in Aquarius in the first house, says her blessings come from her physical body and living in the minds of the masses, but it's up to her to make the most of it, and I'll explain a bit later why there is difficulty doing so. Now, is Chrisean really bankrolling Blueface? Chrisean's expenses and Blueface's income are represented by the Sun and Leo over the 8th house. The astrological aspect, Sun square Saturn, does speak of financial strain and difficulty, especially for lavish expenses such as a remodeled restaurant, so I subscribe this is true. The planet the Sun in this chart itself, and Gemini, moving to the 12th house from the house of relationships, also says money wasted through a dysfunctional relationship based on communication. I think with the public sentiment about Chrisean as of late, one doesn't associate the word responsibility with her, and indeed, the stars show the lack of this energy. Just because Chrisean is represented by Saturn, a planet associated with responsibilities that aren't enjoyable but necessary, doesn't mean the stars are saying she's responsible. Chrisean was Saturn in Pisces in my other charts, and here she is again. Pisces, the sign Saturn is in, shows still her interest in religion and spirituality. Pisces, a changeable sign, doesn't mix well with reliable Saturn, and thus she's shown amiss. It's shown that she needs to be more responsible, with the weight of all the responsibilities on her shoulders. Just as I saw on previous chart and comprehend now, she is learning the hard lesson of partying and emotional fulfillment versus making sacrifices and handling her business. Being realistic versus illusions about her situation. That is partly the meaning of Saturn in Pisces here. In the upcoming clip, Whack 100 describes her not being honest with herself about her situation. One example, her legal issues.
I told Rock 50 million times, hey, stop going live at that house. Police has been over there several times knocking on the door because people didn't send them. I told Rock, stop coming to court. She accused me of not wanting her to come to court, so it looks like she ain't supporting Blue. Listen, Blue was already in jail. He understands you don't need to be there, right? I'm telling you, not only was you coming to court, you going live at the court. She tells me Oklahoma can't get to the courtroom by the time I'm in and out. She just not mentally there to understand how life works, how the law works, how this shit works. So I did my part. Only thing I can do is tell you over and over and over again. Hard ass make a soft ass.
Additionally, about this placement, another reason Pisces doesn't mix well with Saturn is because Pisces energy longs for escape, while Saturn wants to hold down, especially to obligations. This matches what Chrisean said about just wanting to let loose and have fun, but not being able to. I said she was a miss, and more specifically, by what? By things Pisces represents, which in this case is what Chrisean revealed herself to the public. I'm not spilling any beans here, drinking. An ill-starred Saturn is moving towards Neptune in the chart. Neptune is often associated with drinking and other mood and mind-altering escapist substances. With Neptune at 29 degrees, a critical degree, this looks like a message that she really needs to step away, because if she doesn't, this path will be increasingly negative and for the long term. With the strong Neptune-Pisces energy in the chart that is inauspicious, she needs to be more realistic and honest about her image and situation, especially financially, with these two planets in the second house. Venus is square Saturn in the chart and will further explain issues for Chrisean. Venus generally rules relationships and pleasures, the fifth house in this chart, which is partly her sports endeavors, music, and children. Libra over the ninth house makes it represent her legal matters. It also represents communication with Blueface, and so she needs to be more realistic and honest about these things too in order to be successful. I did not think I'd be discussing her sports endeavors, but I came across drama with that researching. She joined the Women's Football Alliance earlier this year and was said to be doing well at first and getting praise. Uranus at the fifth house cusp suggests public awareness and support of her endeavors, and this appears to be true. It would be for the long term and wants to be increasingly fortunate, if only Chrisean was as equally committed. This chart speaks of a crisis or major change going on here with the fifth house cusp at 29 degrees, that it could be coming to an end.
Sister, not you pulling it out the trash.
We gotta be more.
Not that. Bro, they some bitches.
After this part of the clip, she complained about the team and said she should start her own team. Sounds like she quit. But about the fifth house in general for Chrisean's situation, there are a lot of planets and strong energy here. Most of the energy in her life will be surrounding fifth house areas in the coming months. Sports, music, children, romantic relationships, partying, and all the things the planets in this busy house represent too. Mercury, bad relationship problems and communication. Jupiter, imprisonment. Venus, legal and love matters and communication with Blueface. The Sun, expenses. What I said about the 29th degree and endings applies to all these things too, and Uranus's symbolism shows infamy for and attention to these things. Jupiter, ruler of the 12th house, present here, states these areas of her life will have a lot of growing self-undoing if she's not careful. I do not think she is responsible enough at this point to consider having her own team. Jupiter ruling the 12th in Gemini says there would be likely great mismanagement and poor decision making, things squandered, and she's squandering things now. I subscribe, a person who can't be managed with an uncooperative attitude probably can't manage others. Whack 100, Blueface's manager, said in an interview with DJ Vlad that she's difficult to manage, wants to take over things, and might go Meg Thee Stallion on you. Not sure what that last part meant. Regarding children matters, there's a lot of controversy there, and I don't feel comfortable going into that further on my channel. I simply hope for the best for Chrisean in that regard, and the best for Chrisean Malone Jr. While in the middle of making this video, Chrisean was arrested on June 10th when attending Blueface's court hearing. Another example of how involving herself with Blueface will get her into trouble. I saw hints about imprisonment, but it didn't look very obvious to me besides the South Node in the 9th house, saying things go badly in legal matters. Looking deeper though, I do see it more secretly stated. Chrisean's planet, Saturn, and its shadow placement, which is a hidden placement in the chart, is at 11 degrees Libra. This is no good because it is in conjunction with the South Node. More specifically though, Jupiter is trine Saturn using this shadow placement, and Jupiter represents prison in this chart. This aspect may reflect the event of Chrisean going to prison. Another interesting indication, Mercury is conjunct Jupiter. If the planets did not represent negativity, this aspect would have been auspicious. Mercury represents imprisonment for Blueface. Could this aspect show them being imprisoned together? I think it does because of this. Mercury is almost 1/4 of a degree away from Jupiter. Timing here is months, and 1/4 of a month is 1 week. This could have been the message that a little less than a week after making this chart, they would be imprisoned together, but separately. TMZ reported, Chrisean was arrested on a felony fugitive warrant, and she's being held without bail. We're told there's an additional assault with a deadly weapon charge being tacked on here too, but we don't know if that's stemming from California or elsewhere. End quote. As for lawsuits, currently Chrisean has 2 lawsuits looming over her head. At football practice, she was served for alleged assault against Tamar Braxton's backup singer, James Wright Chanel, after dropping her location there. Hip Hop DX reports, he claims he was sent to the hospital with 2 broken teeth and cuts on his face, according to legal documents. Collider reports that after a back and forth about whether Chrisean was meant to perform on stage, she became enraged. Chrisean became upset with Wright and struck him several times in the face, documents state. She was wearing rings at the time, the suit claimed. The other lawsuit is that Chrisean, inexplicably and allegedly, attacked former stylist Irby Lashala at a Baddies event party after catch-up chit-chat and the woman walking away. So how will she fare in this regard? The arrest was a spoiler that it wasn't looking good. As I said, I saw the South Node in the 9th house of legal issues, and as I've mentioned in other videos, it shows damage in these types of charts I make, so it was unlikely she would get away from her warrants and lawsuits unscathed. Venus, the planet representing her legal issues, is in a special situation because it's a special distance away from the sun in the chart called Cazimi. This is supposed to be really good, and I'm not sure how it could manifest with the negative things I mentioned earlier and her in jail now. There's so much negative energy in this chart, we'll have to see what happens. Maybe it's a boon for Chrisean that it took this long to get caught, seeing how the warrant is out from 2022. Money-wise, I do think it's very possible these lawsuits do materialize to end up hurting her financially, though, and stressfully. Especially now with the arrest. I'm not sure how she'll be able to take care of Blueface's affairs. I'll be speaking of Blueface soon, feel free to skip, but if you're interested in hearing more messages of the stars about Chrisean's energy, do listen. The star Vega is at the 1st house cusp. It's said this bright star is associated with wealth and good fortune. It shows artistic talents. Touches of vanity and pretension can also manifest. Yes, I'd say Chrisean acts vain and pretentious for sure, and would have great fortune fully around her if she was more responsible. The star Manubrium is also here. Can indicate courage and defiance, also associated with blindness. I do think it does speak of Chrisean's defiant energy here, which is doing her no good, and that she's figuratively blind to her situation. And are there any special stars with messages about Chrisean's reputation? Yes, there are 2 stars of the midheaven, the 10th house of reputation, and I will give my interpretations. Gay Crux, a star said to show spiritual affinity is there, and I would say Chrisean has the reputation / puts on airs about being very religious. A truer energy is described by the 2nd star, Kambalia. It's said to show unreliability, uncertainty, and change. Can also indicate arguments, impulsiveness, and sudden violence.
Be careful. Be careful. Don't let me, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
Show you how these rings work.
What?
Put it on.
Because you're not about to tell me what to do.
D.
Okay. See, that's backwards.
L. What's backwards about it?
Oh, it's backwards to me.
No, nothing backwards about it.
I'm surprised they fit, actually. time my fingers were fat. That shit heavy, like,
Not much to interpret there. Chrisean does appear to have this reputation. The lawsuits confirm that, as well as her appearances on reality shows boxing women, the many public arguments and fights she had with Blueface.
Like I was the problem?
That's what she didn't
No,
like.
it wasn't that you was brought up that you was the problem. It was just that everybody's time was wasted. It wasn't necessarily you by yourself. You came, you left, we never got no group shot. So even if the stunner shit didn't happen, we still wouldn't got no group shot because you left early.
Time.
You did waste everybody's time.
How?
Because you showed up. Because you showed up when you wanted to.
I know Chrisean, she don't want to talk. She wants to swing on whoever's talking shit. If you're running your mouth, Chrisean wants to swing. She don't give a fuck. Something was gonna go down, for sure.
But the issue is, everybody...
Some stars here I haven't seen before. Let's look at some other important energies. The Greek lots were an important mention in my last update, so it's only natural I point them out again. Greek lots show themes at play in the situation. Two noteworthy ones are joined to the Ascendant. As a reminder, the Ascendant is the first house, and this house describes Chrisean. Love, beauty, and peace, and disinterest and boredom are here. I think these speak of Chrisean's vested interest in her relationship with Blueface, but also that she was probably bored of him being in jail, and her situation in general, especially with what we explored about Saturn and Pisces. Then the lot real estate also came up, and I wonder if this is a reference to Blueface's restaurant. A lot of inheritance also showed up. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, besides maybe inheriting Blueface's financial problems, in which this meaning has a cosmic, comedically dark twist. Thinking it over, the slot goes with the Sun square Saturn things I mentioned back in chapter 2.1. Chrisean's planet Saturn is joined to wisdom and patience, and she appears to believe she's acting wise, handling Blueface's affairs and patiently waiting for him. That is, before she got arrested. But the stuff I said about Neptune and Saturn earlier says, again, she needed to be more realistic and honest. In some ways, it's too late. And there were 3 more lots joined to the Ascendant. Sometimes there are a lot. Men's marriages, cunning of men towards women, and coitus of men with women. Coitus is an archaic word. Coitus is an archaic word which means doing the thing with women. I'm just presenting what appears. This energy must speak of Blueface, and I am getting the vibe of him finessing with sweet words Chrisean, and a real attachment for possibly cunning reasons. Cunning, a reference to all those times I saw Blueface come up as a negative, tricky, mind-manipulating Mercury in previous charts. This brings us to the next chapter. About Blueface. This ended up being a long one. I tried to make this quick, and it seems that means a long video for me. Every time I try to make a quick video, it's always long. But there are a lot of things apparent in this chart, and I hope you're enjoying this intriguing information as much as I am. This time in the situation, Blueface is represented by Cancer on the 7th house and is thus the moon. This is sensitive energy, going along with Chrisean stating Blueface is acting sensitive about everything. I'm glad I know he's in prison because I would not have guessed it, but this echoes to me that he's feeling very empowered despite his situation, especially after hearing a phone call where he seemed to genuinely state enjoying prison. The moon is in Taurus. This is a powerful placement for the moon, which is usually good, but in charts like these about people romantically intertwined, it shows them often as selfish or too self-important to yield to their partner completely. And Taurus shows him especially stubborn. I see this all saying, Blueface may indeed be highly selfishly sensitive at this time, especially in family matters because his planet is in the 4th house for Chrisean, and Chrisean appears to be mostly who the chart is about. Looking at the chart from Chrisean's perspective, also that Blueface is extremely important in family matters for Chrisean, as you might expect. Strong emotional ties. The moon in Taurus representation for Blueface definitely speaks of him wanting and enjoying to be worshipped as well, and demanding. The pairing of planets as a reminder representing Blueface and Chrisean are the moon and Saturn. These are not a good mix of planets. The moon is too emotional for the Saturn person and says Blueface does not feel he is getting enough from Chrisean emotionally, whether this is actually true or not. Lastly, Blueface's planet is conjunct a fixed star, Menkar, which is associated with illness and ruin. This must speak of some of the dark energy tainting this situation. So, those rude, intimidating prison phone calls though. That energy is shown here, of course. Gemini on the 12th house says communication will be a source of most problems in the relationship, if not also mind games, and Mercury rules this sign. Mercury in this chart thus has a negative indication, even though it's in Gemini, which would normally be good. It says to me, he has a lot of power or emphasis in what he does and how badly he hurts relationship. All things I've seen before. Mercury trine Pluto retrograde in this chart, an astrological aspect, shows this energy is augmented to an extreme, with the possessive, jealous, and controlling example we heard in that phone call earlier. Augmented yet more, because Mercury is conjunct Jupiter. I did speak of some future energies, but what lies ahead for them overall? Moon in Taurus sextile Saturn says they will continue to speak and interact for the long term, especially for familial reasons, but Blueface is described as selfish and more interested in what he can acquire through her, as he had been shown to be before. And the communication is darker and more damaging. He's also shown having a long-standing resentment for her. Despite the negative energy, Moon trine Ascendant also says he will continue to involve himself with her by choice, again for the long term. As for Chrisean and her planet Saturn, concerning Blueface, stress and discord is shown for the reasons I mentioned in the video, but she will accept Blueface back when he reaches out to her again. This chart ends with the Sun conjunct Venus, the aspect I suspected showing her extradited. In other words, this is as far as the eye extends for now, for this reading, but Back 100 confirmed my suspicion and seems to state matter-of-factly that she will need to go to Oklahoma to settle her affairs.
Hard head make a soft ass. Ultimately, I think within the next 30 days, they got 45 days to transport her. If they come get her, they fill that plane up. You know what I mean? If they fill that plane up in time, they'll fly her over there. So the faster she gets over there, faster she'll be home. It's not like she's gonna do some years, be incarcerated for a long time, right? The minute you hear Rock is in Oklahoma custody, right? Probably within 10 days of that, best case, she'll be home.
Again, I'll be doing another reading specifically on her captivity. It will be interesting to see how they keep in contact both being in jail, and if Blueface gets out before her, and the drama that could bring, and I greatly hope their child is in good hands. It said at the time of the arrest, Junior was quickly given to one of Chrisean's friends who would take care of him. Now, as we wrap up, if you've enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, whichever you choose. Thank you for your time. This concludes my biggest update on Blueface and Chrisean for now. We'll see what's in store.